What if decluttering wasn't really about getting rid of things at all, but about letting your life breathe again, right here, right now? Imagine walking through your home and feeling calm instead of crowded. Every shelf and keepsake whispering a memory, not demanding your energy. That's the quiet beauty of what Doris Lane, a retired nurse from Kansas City, rediscovered when she came across a note tucked in an old recipe box from her mother, written in 1967. It wasn't a cleaning list. It was advice for living lightly. Her mother had written, "Keep what you can love without effort." Doris said that one line changed how she looked at her entire house. Suddenly, decluttering stopped feeling like loss. It became choosing comfort, choosing peace. She realized her home didn't need to be emptier, it needed to be easier. So she began a simple ritual, one corner, one memory, one small breath of space at a time. No pressure. No guilt. Just gentle, steady care for the life she still loved living. Today, she's sharing that same 1960s-inspired approach that values calm over chaos and meaning over stuff. It's about honoring the life you've built, while making room for the one you're still creating. And maybe, like Doris, you'll find that a little space can make every day feel lighter, kinder, and more you. Before we go on, if this already feels like something you've needed to hear, don't just tap that new hype button. You get 3 free hypes each week, and every one helps senior voices rise higher so more people over 60 can find freedom in their own homes. Method 1. The Chapter Closet Method. Doris used to joke that her hallway closet was like a time capsule with no label, coats from the 1980s hanging beside her old nursing scrubs, a beach hat from a trip long past tangled with winter scarves. "It's like my life forgot what year it's in," she laughed. But the laughter carried a quiet truth. Decades of living had blended together, and the weight of memory had become heavy instead of heartwarming. That changed the morning she sat with a cup of tea and decided to do something her mother used to do in the 1960s, give every part of life its own name. She called it her chapter closet. Instead of sorting by color or size, Doris sorted by story. The first shelf she labeled the career years. She placed her favorite nursing pin, a photo from her first day on the job, and the worn stethoscope she'd used for over 20 years. Then she moved down a shelf and labeled it Raising the Kids. In went a tiny lunchbox, a finger painting, and a showbox of birthday cards from when her boys were young. The next shelf became Our Travels, filled with one seashell from Hawaii and a folded map she and her husband once argued over in Paris. The final shelf she named My Time Now, filled with soft blankets, her gardening gloves, and the crossword books she uses every morning. That simple act of naming brought an emotional order that no fancy storage system ever could. Each label turned clutter into chapters, and every shelf became a quiet reflection of a life fully lived. For the first time in years, Doris didn't feel buried by her past, she felt guided by it. She said, "When I open that closet now, I don't see mess. I see proof that I've lived a big, beautiful story." What's powerful about the chapter closet method is that it's not about perfection or reducing what you own to the bare minimum. It's about seeing your belongings as a timeline of moments, not as piles of stuff. By grouping memories into seasons of life, you give yourself permission to appreciate the past without being trapped in it. You're no longer trying to fight clutter, you're organizing your legacy. Here's how Doris explains it to her friends who visit and ask how she started. She says, "You don't have to do the whole closet at once. Just pick one corner, one drawer, one small space. Ask yourself, what story does this part of my home tell? Then give it a name. The career years. The travel years. The growing years. Whatever fits your life. Once you name it, you'll know what belongs there and what doesn't." She also adds a little humor. If you can't find a name for it, maybe it doesn't need to be here anymore. That small bit of wit makes the task feel lighter. For seniors who often feel overwhelmed by the weight of their possessions, this method brings a sense of control without the stress. It's emotionally gentle, memory-friendly, and can be done seated, slowly, at your own pace. You're not decluttering, you're storytelling. And perhaps the best part is how it changes how you see yourself. Every label reminds you that your life has had chapters, meaningful, hard-earned, beautiful ones. The mess turns into milestones. And when you look at it that way, you realize that your home isn't crowded with things, It's filled with proof of love, effort, and experience. So maybe this week, instead of starting with a trash bag, start with a notebook and a pen. Choose one space, a closet, a dresser, a cabinet, and give it a name. Then fill it with only the pieces that belong to that part of your story. It's not about emptying space, it's about reclaiming it with intention. And now it's your turn. If you had a career years shelf like Doris, what would sit on it first? Maybe a work badge, a set of tools, a photograph, or even a recipe that once paid the bills. Whatever it is, honor it, because every story deserves its own shelf. Method 2. The legacy lightening method. When Doris began sorting through her keepsakes, she realized something quietly profound. Not everything she had carried through life still belonged to the person she was now. She wasn't the young nurse with a drawer full of hospital badges, or the new mother saving every crayon drawing. She had grown into a different version of herself, one that valued calm, comfort, and simplicity. Yet her home still held the weight of decades of just in case and one day. That afternoon, sitting by the window with a notepad, she wrote down 2 questions that would guide every decision from that moment on. Does this reflect who I am today? And could it serve someone else better now? Those 2 lines became her compass, her way of balancing sentiment with purpose. As she worked, Doris noticed how often guilt tried to make her keep things she no longer needed. Gifts she never used. Fabrics she meant to sew. Boxes she had promised to sort someday. Instead of fighting those feelings, she turned them into gratitude. She whispered, "Thank you for the season you served," and then let them go. Her old nursing badge stayed, a symbol of decades of care and pride. But her uniforms, neatly folded and never worn again, went to a local nursing school. "These uniforms started stories," she said. "Maybe they'll help start new ones." A few weeks later, the students sent her a photo of their first graduation. Doris said it felt like a full-circle moment. Her past had turned into someone else's beginning. That's the heart of the legacy lightening method. It's not about decluttering for appearance or trend, it's about freeing what no longer mirrors your life, so those pieces can find new purpose. Every item you choose to release thoughtfully becomes a living gift, a torch you pass on, not a burden you discard. For older adults, this approach brings deep emotional relief. It replaces the pressure of "I have too much" with the pride of "I'm giving meaning." When Doris shared this idea with her neighbor, they sat together and sorted through shelves of old kitchenware. Each item came with a memory, a laugh, or a sigh. At the end, both women had smaller collections but fuller hearts. "It's lighter in here," her neighbor said, "and not just the shelves." Doris nodded, smiling. That's exactly what legacy lightening does. It creates space not just in your home, but in your mind. To try it yourself, begin small. Pick a single drawer or memory box and hold each object with care. Ask those same 2 questions. Does this reflect who I am today? Could it serve someone else better now? If you keep it, display it proudly. If you release it, imagine it adding comfort or joy somewhere else. Donate, gift, or repurpose it, but do it with intention. This method is slow, kind, and deeply human. Doris often says that with every box she lightened, her home felt more like a reflection of who she is now, wise, free, and still growing. "It's not about erasing my past," she says softly. "It's about letting my past help someone else's future." And that's the magic of it. You're not throwing away your story, you're sharing it forward, one beautiful piece at a time. What's one item in your home that still speaks for who you are today? Method 3. The Comfort Footprint Check Method. For years, Doris kept a ceramic planter by her front door. Big, beautiful, and unbelievably heavy. It had belonged to her mother, and she felt obligated to keep it. Every spring she would fill it with fresh soil, plant her begonias, and then spend the next 2 days nursing her back. One afternoon, after another round of ice packs and pain cream, she laughed to herself and said, "If it takes 2 aspirin afterward, it's not worth keeping." That one sentence became her golden rule, a simple, powerful way to decide what stays in her home and what doesn't. She began looking at every object not by how it looked, but by how it felt to live with. The Comfort Footprint Check method isn't about getting rid of what's old or large, it's about rethinking the physical effort each item demands. Doris realized that her body had changed, but her home hadn't caught up. She started asking new questions. Does this item support my comfort or take it away? Does it make daily life smoother, or does it quietly add strain? That's how she began to measure her comfort footprint, not in square feet, but in ease. She replaced that heavy planter with a lightweight clay one she could move herself. The difference wasn't just physical, it was emotional. I didn't realize how much tension lived in my house, she said. Every time I lifted or scrubbed or bent for something, I felt it. Now I only keep what lets me breathe. She donated several bulky furniture pieces, swapped deep cupboards for open shelving, and kept just a few favorite kitchen pans instead of a dozen. The result was a home that finally matched her energy, gentle, open, and easier to move through. This method doesn't mean giving up the things you love. It means adapting them to love you back. Doris learned to make small swaps that protected her comfort without sacrificing beauty. She put wheels on her flower stand, raised her favorite chair by an inch, and used lighter bedding that was easier to wash. Each change, though tiny, made her daily life softer and safer. It's like my house finally exhaled, she said. You can try this, too. Walk through your home slowly and notice how your body reacts to what you touch and use. Is there a rug that keeps slipping underfoot? A drawer that's too low? A chair you rarely sit in because it's too hard to get up from? These small discomforts add up over time, quietly stealing your ease. Make a short list of your 2 aspirin items, the ones that cause you extra effort, aches, or frustration, and start replacing or simplifying them one by one. What's special about this method is how quickly you feel the difference. When comfort becomes the measure, not convenience or habit, your home begins to feel kinder. Doris says it gave her permission to choose herself over her possessions. At this age, she said, comfort isn't luxury, it's wisdom. The comfort footprint check method is really a form of self-care disguised as decluttering. It asks you to build a space that supports your strength, energy, and peace. Every item you keep should feel like it gives something back to you: stability, beauty, ease, or joy. Anything that demands pain or resentment has already served its purpose. So maybe today, take a slow look around. Ask yourself Doris's question: if it takes 2 aspirin afterward, is it worth keeping? You might be surprised how quickly that one thought reshapes your entire home. And in that lighter, easier space, you'll find something even more valuable: the comfort of truly living on your own terms. What's one thing in your home that's become more work than it's worth? Method 4. The Legacy Capsule Curation Method. Doris always believed she'd get around to organizing her keepsakes someday. Decades of living filled every drawer: postcards from road trips, costume jewelry she hadn't worn since the 80s, concert stubs, birthday cards, love notes, and recipe clippings. Each piece carried a spark of memory, but together they became noise. One day her granddaughter, Emma, offered to help her digitize the good stuff. Doris laughed, not quite sure what that meant, but agreed. That's how the Legacy Capsule Curation Method was born, not from pressure to declutter, but from a desire to preserve her story in a way that felt intentional, dignified, and light. They started by naming eras of her life: the early years, the nursing days, family adventures, and the new me. For each one, Doris chose a single box, nothing fancy, just sturdy and labeled. One by one, she began placing items inside that truly represented those years. Her first stethoscope went into the nursing days. A faded photo of her and her husband at Niagara Falls slipped into family adventures. A travel pin from her first solo trip nestled in the new me. For every few items she kept, she let many more go, but not before photographing them. I didn't throw away memories, she said. I just changed how I keep them. Each photo became part of a digital scrapbook Emma helped her create. They spent afternoons scanning old letters and recording Doris's voice telling the story behind them, her handwriting, her laughter, her pauses between memories. It wasn't clutter anymore, it was her life, captured clearly and preserved with love. And when Doris finished her first capsule, she didn't feel loss, she felt relief. For the first time, she said, I can find my memories without digging through my past. The Legacy Capsule Curation Method is about choosing meaning over volume. It's for anyone who wants to honor the past without being buried by it. Instead of keeping every token from every season, you curate highlights, a small, personal museum of your life. And because each capsule has boundaries, you're free to decide what fits inside and what doesn't. The rule is simple: if it doesn't carry a story worth telling, it doesn't earn its space. Doris says what surprised her most wasn't how much she gave away, but how much she rediscovered. She found letters she hadn't read in years, photos she thought were lost, and tiny reminders of how full her life had been. She said, "When I look at my boxes now, I don't see what I gave up. I see who I've become." If you want to try this yourself, start small. Pick one decade or life chapter, maybe the years you raised your children, built your career, or began retirement. Get one box or folder, and choose no more than 10 to 15 items that best represent that time. Take photos of the rest before you release them, so the memories remain even as the clutter fades. Add a short note or voice recording about why each keepsake matters. That personal touch turns ordinary objects into lasting legacy pieces. And here's the hidden beauty: by curating your story now, you give your loved ones a gift later, a clear, organized collection of your life that tells your story exactly as you want it remembered. No guesswork, no overwhelm, just your truth, preserved in your voice. The legacy capsule curation method isn't about letting go, it's about keeping with care. It teaches that your life's worth isn't measured by how much you've saved, but by how clearly you can see what matters most. If you made your first memory capsule, what era would you start with? Method 5. The Seasonal Reset Cycle Method. Doris used to wait until spring to tackle everything at once: closets, drawers, old papers, you name it. Each year, she'd promise herself that this time she'd get it all done. But every spring ended the same way: halfway through, exhausted, surrounded by piles that only made her feel worse. One day, while packing away her winter scarves, she thought, what if I stopped waiting for someday and started caring for my home the way the seasons care for the earth, slowly, naturally, one change at a time. That was the day the seasonal reset cycle method began. Now, instead of one exhausting clean-out, Doris does 4 gentle resets each year, one in spring, one in summer, one in autumn, and one in winter. She calls it her rhythm of renewal. In spring, she freshens her entryway and kitchen, clearing away the heavy feeling of winter. In summer, she sorts lighter clothes, garden tools, and patio supplies. Autumn is for paperwork, photos, and holiday prep. She says it keeps stress away when December comes. And winter, her favorite, is the reflection season. That's when she goes through keepsakes by the fireplace, choosing a few special items to add to her memory boxes and donating the rest. It's how I end my year feeling lighter than I started, she says. Each reset follows the same 3-step ritual Doris loves: one drawer, one playlist, one cup of tea. The tea is her reminder to slow down. The playlist keeps her mood up. The single drawer rule ensures she never overdoes it. She says, I don't clean anymore, I tend to my space like it's a garden. A little care, all year long. And just like a garden, her home now grows calmer, clearer, and more inviting with each season. The power of this method isn't in the cleaning itself, it's in the rhythm. Our lives, like the seasons, have their own natural cycles. By aligning with them, we replace guilt with grace. Instead of thinking, I should have done this months ago, you can say, I'll get to that next season. It's a system built on kindness, not urgency. For older adults, this approach has an added gift. It respects energy and mobility. You don't need long days of bending or lifting. You only need 20 quiet minutes and a small focus area. The seasonal reset cycle creates progress without pain. Doris often tells her friends, if you can make tea, you can make change. To try it, mark your calendar with 4 reset dates, 1 per season. Then pick one tiny goal for each. Maybe spring is for lightening your linen closet, summer for sorting your garden tools, autumn for reviewing photos, and winter for releasing old paperwork. Write it down, and when that time comes, put on your favorite music, pour a warm drink, and begin gently. Doris says she feels closer to her home now than ever. It's like we're aging together, she jokes. We both just need a little attention once in a while. The seasonal reset cycle gave her back control, not through force, but through rhythm, and rhythm feels a lot like peace. Would a once-a-season reset work better for you than one big clean-out? Method 6. The community share declutter method. For most of her life, Doris thought decluttering was something you did in private, a quiet battle between you and your belongings. She'd close the door, put on old music, and sort through piles in silence. But it always felt a little lonely, even when she made progress. Then one Saturday morning, while setting aside kitchenware she no longer used, her neighbor Louise stopped by to borrow sugar. Doris handed her a ceramic baking dish she hadn't touched in years and said, "Take this too, it's made more lasagnas than I can count." Louise laughed and accepted. That tiny exchange changed how Doris saw decluttering forever. For the first time, she said, I didn't feel like I was losing something. I felt like I was giving a piece of my story a new chapter. That's how the community share declutter method was born, a heart-centered approach that turns decluttering into connection. Instead of asking, what should I throw away? Doris began asking, who could use this now? Every time she passed something on, she also passed along its story. A recipe book that once fed her family during lean years went to a young couple next door. A set of old mason jars went to a local garden club that used them for seed saving. Her husband's record player found a home with a music teacher who said her students couldn't stop smiling when they heard real vinyl for the first time. This approach transforms the emotional heaviness of letting go into generosity. When you give intentionally, you gain joy instead of regret. Doris likes to say, it's not decluttering, it's redistributing love. For seniors, especially, this method replaces the loneliness of sorting with the warmth of sharing. It strengthens community bonds while reducing the physical and emotional weight of too much. She even started a monthly share circle at her local community center. A few neighbors gather with boxes of items and stories to match. There's no selling, no judgment, just swapping and laughter. It feels like a living yard sale of memories, Doris says. You leave lighter and happier every time. Through that group, she's watched friendships form between people who might never have met otherwise. Widows, retirees, newcomers, all connected by the simple act of giving. To try this method, start by writing a short list of local places or people who could use what you no longer need. A church pantry, a daycare, a senior swap group, or even a friend's grandchild heading to college. Gather a few items that still have life left in them, and before you part with them, tell their story, even if it's just aloud to yourself. This vase held anniversary flowers. These books got me through long nights. That moment of reflection gives the item meaning and gives you closure. If you're comfortable, make it a habit to share in small ways. Maybe one item a month, or one story a season. You'll soon notice something powerful. Your home gets lighter, but your sense of belonging gets stronger. Doris says, every time something leaves my house, it goes with love, and it always seems to find the right person. Decluttering doesn't have to mean isolation or emptiness. It can be community care, kindness, and legacy all in one. And once you see giving as connection, not loss, you'll find yourself surrounded not by things, but by people, stories, and gratitude. So ask yourself this today, who in your community might treasure something you're ready to release? Method 7. The Future Comfort Mapping Method. Doris once believed that planning for the future meant preparing for less space, less energy, less activity. But she's since learned that aging wisely isn't about shrinking life, it's about designing it for comfort, ease, and joy. The Future Comfort Mapping Method began the moment she asked herself one small, honest question. What does my ideal home look and feel like 5 years from now? That question shifted everything. She realized she wasn't just keeping things she no longer used, she was decorating for a version of her life that didn't exist anymore. I was keeping my past comfortable, she said. But I hadn't made comfort for the woman I am now, or the one I'm becoming. So she grabbed a notebook and began sketching a vision of her future home. She pictured sunlight on her reading chair, wider walkways between furniture, and shelves that didn't require bending or stretching. She imagined fewer knickknacks to dust, lighter linens to fold, and a kitchen that worked with her hands, not against them. That drawing wasn't about downsizing, it was about right-sizing. She called it her comfort map, and it became her favorite new ritual. Every time Doris picked up an object, she'd pause and ask, would the future me want to dust this? It made her laugh at first, but soon it became her guiding principle. Some things stayed: her mother's teapot, her small photo frame of her grandkids, the lamp that glowed soft and steady through long evenings. But most of the excess went. The duplicate dishes, the extra chairs, the boxes of someday clothes, all lovingly rehomed. "I didn't feel like I was losing things," she said. "I felt like I was designing the next chapter of my life." The beauty of the future comfort mapping method is that it gives purpose to change. It's not about surrendering space, it's about shaping it. Instead of reacting to limitations, you anticipate comfort. You make decisions that protect your energy, time, and peace of mind. It's proactive, empowering, and filled with hope. For seniors, this approach offers both emotional and practical freedom. You're not waiting for someone else to tell you what fits your life. You're defining it for yourself. You choose how much space you want to care for, how much effort you're willing to give, and what truly adds warmth to your days. Doris says, when you design your surroundings for ease, you give yourself back time to rest, create, and enjoy what matters. To begin, take a quiet afternoon and imagine your ideal living space. Picture your morning routine, where you walk, what you reach for, what makes you smile. Draw a simple floor plan or list areas that could use more breathing room. Then walk through your current home and compare. What feels cramped, heavy, or unnecessary? What items no longer serve how you actually live today? Those are your starting points for change. Doris made her changes gradually. One weekend, she swapped a bulky armchair for a swivel recliner that was easier on her back. Another week, she replaced her tall bookshelves with waist-high ones so every spine was in easy reach. She even installed softer lighting in her hallway. "My house feels like it's exhaling with me now," she said. "It's lighter, brighter, friendlier." That's the heart of this method, building a home that evolves with you. Because comfort isn't something you wait for, it's something you create, intentionally, with love and foresight. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine your own future home. Smaller, sunnier, peaceful, perfectly manageable. What would stay? What would gently go? What would make every morning feel like an easy start? The answer to those questions is your comfort map, waiting to be drawn. When Doris began this journey, she thought she was simply decluttering, but what she truly did was reintroduce herself to the woman she had become. Every small decision, every labeled shelf, every item she passed along built a bridge between her past and her present. Her home didn't get smaller, it got clearer. It began to breathe again, and so did she. She says now that every room in her house feels like a deep exhale. The weight that once sat in the corners of her closets isn't just gone, it's transformed into calm. Her keepsakes aren't buried in boxes anymore, they're displayed, cherished, and easy to find. "I used to feel like my memories were hiding from me," she said. "Now they greet me every morning." This transformation wasn't fast or flashy. It was built through quiet, deliberate choices, choosing comfort over clutter, meaning over material, peace over perfection. Doris didn't have to move houses or buy fancy storage bins. She just had to shift her focus from what she owned to what truly mattered. She said something beautiful once that stays with everyone who hears it: "I didn't lose my history. I gave it a home that fits the woman I am today." What happened next surprised her. When her family came to visit, they noticed not just the tidy shelves but the ease in her spirit. She wasn't apologizing for messes or worrying about what to do with old belongings. Instead, she spent more time sharing stories, laughing, and cooking. Her home became a place that welcomed people again. "When things aren't stacked on every surface," she said, "you make more room for the people you love." And that's the heart of it. Decluttering for Doris was never really about things. It was about reclaiming joy, presence, and dignity. It's what happens when you finally stop organizing your life around possessions and start organizing it around peace. She now describes her home as a love letter written in space and light. These 7 methods, her chapter closet, her lightened legacy, her comfort checks, her curated capsules, her seasonal resets, her shared giving, and her future comfort mapping, are more than strategies. They're small acts of self-respect. They prove that aging doesn't mean losing control of your space, it means mastering it in a new, graceful way. Doris's home tells her story clearly now, and so can yours. So maybe today is the day you start not with a trash bag, but with a question: what do I want this space to say about me now? You don't need to rush. You don't need to empty rooms overnight. Just one corner, one moment, one honest decision at a time. You've earned the right to live surrounded only by what supports you, uplifts you, and makes daily life softer. Before you go, here's how you can help this message reach others who need it. Scroll down and tap the hype button. Choose your points and confirm. You get 3 free hypes every week, and every one helps bring these stories to more people over 60 who deserve to feel proud of their homes again. While you're here, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next gentle story about living lighter, longer, and freer. Together, we're not just decluttering homes, we're redefining what it means to age wisely, beautifully, and without apology. You've carried a lifetime of beautiful moments. Now, like Doris, give them the space to shine, and let your home reflect the calm, capable, extraordinary person you've always been.